You know, that exact moment right before summer, like, truly hits.
Oh, yeah, the overnight switch.
Right. The temperature goes from completely reasonable to just an absolute furnace, basically, overnight.
Hmm.
And, you know, you walk into your house, you hear the AC humming away, the air feels cool against your skin, and you think, well, great, we survived the transition, we are ready.
You definitely feel a false sense of security there.
Exactly. But then a few days later, you start to notice something is just a little off. Like the house starts to smell a little musty, or, you know, somebody in the family has been sneezing nonstop.
Yeah, that happens a lot more than people realize.
Right. So the house is technically cold, but the actual air quality, it's secretly turning into a total disaster.
It is really the ultimate illusion of comfort. I mean, we are so conditioned to judge our home's entire environment just by the number on the thermostat.
Oh, for sure. If it says 72, we're happy.
Exactly. If it says 72 degrees, we assume the mechanical system is functioning
Right.
perfectly. But temperature is really only half the equation. The other half, the actual physical quality of the air you are breathing, is entirely invisible, at least until it starts causing real physical symptoms.
Well, welcome to a brand new deep dive. Today, we've got our hands on a really fascinating and honestly incredibly practical set of notes. They come from a master HVAC technician based in Kingfisher, Oklahoma.
Dave Hartzell, right?
Yep, Dave Hartzell. And he has 45 years of experience diagnosing exactly why homes fail to keep us comfortable. So, our mission for you today is to save you from a miserable, sweaty, sneeze-filled summer.
Which is a very noble mission.
I think so. We are going to walk through 5 crucial indoor air quality checks that you can do right now. And the best part is the entire list takes like maybe 10 minutes to complete.
Which is vital because, well, as the source notes, by the time that first heat advisory pops up in June, the service boards are entirely full.
Oh, I bet. Everyone panics at once.
Right. And the real tragedy of the HVAC industry is that a huge percentage of those emergency calls in July are for problems that were just sitting right there, waiting to be found back in April or May. If we can understand the mechanics of why our homes behave the way they do, we can catch these issues before they escalate into, massive repair bills.
Let's jump straight into the hidden mechanics of your house then. The first 2 checks on the list are the drain pan and the air filter, and apparently they are incredibly intertwined.
Very much so.
Now, I know where my air filter is, but a drain pan sounds like something buried deep inside the machinery. Let's start there. What are we actually looking for? And why is there a pan of water inside my air conditioner to begin with?
Well, it helps to understand what air conditioning actually is. When your AC runs, it's not just blowing cold air. It's actually acting as a massive whole-home dehumidifier.
Okay, I'm tracking.
So warm, humid indoor air is pulled across the incredibly cold evaporator coils inside your indoor air handler. When that warm air hits the cold metal, condensation forms.
Right, just like water droplets on the outside of a glass of iced tea on a summer day.
Exactly like that.
Okay, let's unpack this. That water has to go somewhere. It can't just drip endlessly into the bottom of the machine, right?
Precisely. That moisture drips down into a shallow, slub tray that's sitting right underneath the coil. That is your primary drain pan.
Ah, okay.
And from there, gravity pulls the water into your condensate drain line. That's usually a white PVC pipe that runs outside your house or down into a floor drain somewhere. To check it, you just take a flashlight, shine it into the access panel under the indoor unit, and literally just look at the pan.
And what is the immediate red flag we're looking for?
Standing water.
Really? Just any water?
Well, a little bit of moisture actively draining right after the unit kicks off is perfectly normal. But if you see water just sitting there stagnant, looking like a tiny dark pond, you have a major problem. It means that PVC drain line is clogged.
Let me guess. A stagnant indoor pond sitting inside a dark, warm metal box is probably not great for indoor air quality.
It is a biological disaster.
Yikes.
Yeah. That dark, damp environment is just a perfect breeding ground. The clog itself is almost always caused by algae that builds up slowly over the winter when the system isn't, constantly flushing water through the pipes.
Oh, because the AC isn't running. That makes sense.
Right. And once that pan backs up, mold gets established in the standing water and actually begins crawling up onto the coil right above it.
Oh, wow.
And because that coil is sitting directly in the primary airstream, every single time your blower motor kicks on, you are essentially launching millions of mold spores through the ductwork.
Oh, gross.
Directly into your bedroom, your kitchen, your living room, everywhere.
Well, that completely explains the sudden onset of sneezing and that musty smell, even when the house feels perfectly cold.
Right.
But, okay, if I shine my flashlight in there and I see a pond, do I have to immediately pay hundreds of dollars for a technician to come clear it out?
Not if you catch it early. This is where preventative maintenance gives you all the leverage. You need to find where that drain line connects to the indoor unit. There is typically a vertical access port. It's just a small piece of pipe sticking up with a cap on it. You can actually pour a cup of standard white distilled vinegar down that port, maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Just regular vinegar from the grocery store?
Yep. The high acidity of the vinegar naturally kills the algae and dissolves the sludge, which keeps the line clear. Now, if it is already fully clogged and backed up, you can take a wet-dry vacuum, go to the outside end of the pipe where it drains into the yard, and physically suction the algae blockage out.
Wait, hold on. I need to challenge a premise here. The notes connect this standing water and algae problem directly to the second check, which is the air filter.
They do, yeah.
That doesn't make sense mechanically to me. I've always pictured a dirty air filter like a plugged vacuum cleaner bag. If it gets full of dirt and dog hair, it should just stop air from moving entirely. How is a block filter causing a flood of water in the drain pan?
That is the most common misunderstanding homeowners have about their HVAC systems. A blocked filter does not stop the fan from spinning.
It doesn't.
No. That blower motor is a powerful machine, and it is going to pull air from wherever it can. Air behaves exactly like water. It will ruthlessly seek the path of least resistance.
So a dirty filter isn't like a full vacuum bag that just stops working. It's like a dam breaking. The air just bypasses it completely.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. When the face of the filter becomes completely suffocated with dust, the system creates this immense negative pressure. The air literally bends the cardboard frame of the filter, or it slips around the tiny gaps in the casing.
Oh, wow. I've actually seen filters bent like that when I pull them out.
Exactly. That's the negative pressure. Now, you have completely unfiltered air full of dust and pet dander blowing directly onto that wet evaporator coil we talked about. The dust acts like glue. It sticks to the wet metal, forms a sludge, and that sludge drips down and clogs your drain pan.
But doesn't the system also freeze? I mean, I've heard of air conditioners literally turning into blocks of ice in the middle of the summer.
Yes, and that is the pure thermodynamics of the system failing.
Okay, how so?
The refrigerant inside your coil is extremely cold, and it relies on a constant flow of warm house air to absorb heat and boil the refrigerant into a gas. When your dirty filter drastically reduces the total volume of air moving over the coil, there just isn't enough heat being delivered.
So it just keeps getting colder.
Right. The temperature of the metal coil drops below freezing. The moisture in the air stops condensing into water droplets and starts freezing into solid ice on the coil.
And when the thermostat finally clicks off, all that ice melts at once.
Exactly. It creates a flash flood that completely overwhelms the drain pan, and then you've got water spilling into your ceiling or onto your floors. This raises an important question, really.
What's that?
How often do we misunderstand the basic functions of the equipment we live with? We treat the air filter as if it's a purifier designed to protect our lungs, but its actual primary engineering purpose is to protect the mechanical system itself from choking on debris.
That is a crucial shift in perspective. The primary job of the filter is to protect the machine, which, in turn protects you. And checking it is obviously the easiest thing on this list.
Absolutely.
The source says to pull it out and hold it up to a light bulb. If you cannot clearly see light shining through the material, the filter is actively suffocating your system. But practically speaking, what is the timeline? How often are we supposed to be doing this?
Well, it depends on the physical dimensions of the filter and your specific living situation. If you have a standard 1-inch thick filter and you've got kids running in and out, plus, say, a golden retriever shedding everywhere.
Right, a high-traffic house.
Yeah. You need to be changing that filter every 30 days, period.
Wow, every 30 days.
Yeah. Now, if your system is designed for one of those deep 5-inch thick media filters, those have vastly more surface area. They can last anywhere from 6 to 12 months. But the ultimate pro tip from the notes is brilliant in its simplicity.
Oh, I love this one.
Take a Sharpie and write the current date in large numbers on the cardboard frame of the filter the exact moment you install it.
Yes. It takes 30 seconds, and it completely removes the guesswork. No more standing in the hallway 6 months later wondering, did I change this in March or maybe Thanksgiving?
It saves so much mental energy.
Okay, so if the filter is acting like a broken dam and letting dirty air bypass it entirely, where does all that debris end up? It doesn't just disappear.
No, it certainly does.
It gets blasted out the other end, which logically brings us to check number 3, the vents and registers.
Right. The third step of your 10-minute check is to walk through every room in your house and physically inspect the supply vents blowing air out and the return vents pulling air in.
You are basically looking for visual evidence of what is happening inside the ductwork.
And the notes make a really clear distinction here. Like a light dusting on the metal grates is normal. You just wipe it off with a damp cloth.
Yeah.
But if you look up and see thick, dark, gray, or black lines radiating outward onto the drywall around the vent.
That is your smoking gun. Yeah. That means unfiltered air is blasting through the ducts, or worse, you have chronic moisture trapped in the lines blowing mold spores right onto your ceiling.
Which is terrifying.
It is, but the visual check is only half of it. The source has a fascinating and frankly counterintuitive stance on closing vents in unused rooms.
Oh, man. It is arguably the most pervasive and damaging myth in home maintenance.
Really?
Yes. People look at a guest bedroom or a formal dining room that they use maybe twice a year, and they think, I'll just close these vents, force all that cold air into the living room, and save a fortune on my energy bill.
But it makes total intuitive sense. I mean, why pay to cool a room with no one in it? If I shut off a faucet in the bathroom, I save water. Why doesn't air work the exact same way?
Because your central HVAC system is not a series of independent faucets. It is a closed loop that was engineered and mathematically sized for the exact cubic footage of your entire house.
Okay, I see.
The blower motor is permanently set to push a specific, massive volume of air against a specific amount of calculated resistance. When you slam a vent shut, the fan does not magically slow down to compensate.
Right.
It keeps pushing the exact same amount of air into the main supply trunk, but now it has significantly less space to push it into.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like putting your thumb over a running garden hose. The water doesn't stop. The pressure just forces it to blast out of the weakest spot.
Yes, exactly. That is the exact physics of what is happening in your attic or crawl space. By closing vents, you are intentionally creating a massive static pressure imbalance in your ductwork. And the immediate consequence of that pressure spike is that the air will aggressively force its way out through the tiny, unsealed seams of your metal or flex ducts. You end up literally air conditioning your attic.
That's crazy. And the system has to replace that lost air somehow, right? If it's blowing air out into the attic, it's creating a vacuum inside the house.
Correct. The system is now starving for return air. So, to balance the pressure, it aggressively sucks replacement air from the path of least resistance. It pulls through the tiny gaps in your home's construction. You end up pulling air from places you absolutely do not want to be breathing from.
Meaning unconditioned, dirty environment.
Exactly. You start pulling in superheated, dusty air down from the attic through recessed lighting fixtures. Or you pull humid, moldy air up from a dirt crawl space. Or you pull stagnant air out of your wall cavities.
That is wild.
Yeah, by trying to save a few pennies closing a guest room vent, you are literally forcing your home to inhale contaminated air from its own structural shell.
Which perfectly transitions us into the fourth check, the physical environment directly surrounding your HVAC equipment. Because if we now know the system is incredibly sensitive to pressure imbalances and will suck air from its immediate surroundings, we have to look at what the system is accidentally breathing in.
We really do. We have to look at both the indoor unit and the outdoor unit because they face very different environmental threats.
Let's start indoors.
Okay. A huge percentage of homes have their indoor air handler located in a mechanical closet, a garage, or a laundry utility room.
And utility rooms are exactly where we store everything we don't want to look at, mops, buckets, and chemicals.
Right. And the source specifically warns against this. Technicians constantly find open paint cans, bleach, harsh solvents, and heavy chemical cleaners stored mere inches from the air handler.
Just sit right there.
Exactly. That utility closet is not a sealed vault. The return plenum, which is the large duct pulling air into the bottom of the unit, is under massive negative pressure. Even a tiny leak in that sheet metal will act like a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah. If you have a half-empty can of mineral spirits or spray paint off-gassing in that closet, those volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are being drafted directly into the system, and then they're pumped right into the air you sleep in.
So if your house has a lingering chemical smell or your eyes are constantly watering, step 1 is to check the closet where the unit lives. Get the fumes out of there.
100%.
But what about the outdoor unit? That big metal box sitting in the yard is basically out of sight, out of mind for most of us, at least until it starts making a loud grinding noise.
Well, the golden rule for the outdoor unit, the condenser, is that it requires a minimum of 2 feet of completely clear, unobstructed space on all 4 sides. And it needs at least 5 feet of clearance directly above it.
Okay, so you really need to go outside and physically inspect it. Look for weeds growing up through the delicate metal fins or dead leaves piled up against the base.
Or landscaping mulch that has been stacked way too close. People do that all the time to make it look nice.
Right. I understand that clearing weeds makes the yard look nicer, but how does a bush touching the outside unit affect the air quality inside my living room?
It comes down to the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, lay it on me.
Heat naturally moves toward cold. To cool your house, the outdoor unit has to compress the refrigerant so tightly that it becomes significantly hotter than the 100-degree outdoor air.
Wow, okay.
Only then can the heat from your house actually reject into the outside air. To achieve this, the giant fan on top of the unit has to pull massive, sweeping volumes of outdoor air right through those metal fins.
So if the fins are choked by a layer of dead leaves or a stray overgrown bush,
the unit physically suffocates. It just cannot reject the heat. The compressor runs hotter and longer, burning vast amounts of electricity. And because it's struggling to reject heat outside, its ability to properly dehumidify the air inside your house plummets.
which brings us directly to the fifth and final check on the list. We've talked a lot about moisture, but how do we actually measure it? The source introduces a tool here, but thankfully it's literally a sub-$10 digital hygrometer you can grab at the checkout aisle of any local hardware store.
It is arguably the best $10 you can spend on your home's health.
Really? Just a cheap little gauge.
Oh, absolutely. A hygrometer simply measures the relative humidity of the air. You don't need to mount it or calibrate it. You just set it on a table in your main living area and look at the percentage on the screen.
Okay.
For a climate like central Oklahoma, where the source is based, you are looking for an indoor summer humidity reading sitting comfortably between 40 and 55%.
And what if I look at the screen and it's reading 65 or 70%?
Then you have entered the danger zone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Mold spores are opportunistic. They physically begin to germinate and grow on your drywall, your furniture, and inside your ducts at around 60% sustained relative humidity.
Wow. Just 60% is all it takes.
That's it. If your house is reading that high, the hygrometer is telling you a critical story about your mechanical system. It means your AC is either severely undersized for the square footage, or it has a refrigerant leak and can't get the coil cold enough to pull water out of the air, or you have a massive structural moisture intrusion like a flooded crawl space that the AC simply cannot keep up with. What's fascinating here is how hard the AC has to work in these conditions. I think about it like trying to run a marathon while wearing a wet, heavy wool sweater.
Oh, that sounds miserable.
Right. When it's 95 degrees outside with 70% humidity, that air is incredibly heavy. Your system has to expend massive amounts of energy just wringing the sheer weight of the water out of the air before it can even begin the actual process of dropping the sensible temperature in your living room.
That wet wool sweater analogy is perfect. The AC is exhausting itself just dealing with the water weight. So if your outdoor unit is choked with weeds or your filter is bypassed, the system loses its ability to fight the humidity, the percentage climbs past 60, and suddenly you are literally living inside a Petri dish.
That's exactly what happens.
So what does this all mean for your wallet? Let's get down to the bottom line. Say you do your 10-minute walkthrough today. You check the pan, the filter, the vents, the surroundings, and the hygrometer.
Right.
And you actually find a major problem. You spot an algae pond, or your hygrometer is screaming at 70%. What are the actual economics of calling in a master technician like Dave Hartzell?
Well, the notes are remarkably transparent about the industry costs, which is honestly refreshing.
Yeah, it's nice to see real numbers.
For sure. If you find an issue and need a technician to roll a truck to your driveway, you are looking at a standard $99 dispatch fee. That covers the time, the gas, and the overhead just to get a qualified professional to your door.
Okay, that's step one.
From there, if they need to actively hook up their gauges and diagnose a specific failure, there is a $111 diagnostic fee.
Which sounds painful, but the source notes a pretty significant silver lining.
Yes, that diagnostic fee isn't just money vanished into thin air. That $111 gets fully credited toward the cost of the actual repair,
Hmm.
provided you move forward with the work within 14 days.
Okay, that makes total sense. And what if you do your 10-minute check, everything looks relatively okay, but you just want professional peace of mind before the real heat waves hit?
Most reputable companies offer a comprehensive tune-up, which the source lists at $229, and that is vastly different from just a quick visual inspection.
What does that entail?
A full tune-up involves a technician testing the electrical amp draws on the motors, measuring the exact refrigerant pressures, verifying the static airflow, and chemically clearing those drain lines. It's essentially a factory reset for your system to ensure it survives the summer.
And if the tech does that tune-up and delivers the bad news that your 20-year-old system is finally dead?
Well, the notes point out that estimates for entirely new systems are completely free.
Okay. But this is where the financial aspect of this deep dive becomes incredibly actionable. We have to talk about the rebates.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
This is a crucial piece of leverage for anyone who is on the fence about whether to repair an old system or upgrade to a new one. The notes highlight that local utility companies like OG&E in Oklahoma are currently offering massive financial incentives to homeowners who install high-efficiency equipment.
But wait, why would the power company pay you to buy a new air conditioner? That seems backwards.
It seems like it, but it's because it protects their grid. Think about it. In the middle of July, millions of old, inefficient AC units all turn on at the exact same time. It pushes the electrical grid to the absolute brink of rolling blackouts.
Oh, right.
So it is vastly cheaper for the utility company to pay you to install an efficient unit that sips electricity than it is for them to build a multi-billion-dollar power plant just to handle the peak summer load.
So the incentives are actually huge.
They are unprecedented. If you install an ultra-efficient geothermal system, the utility is offering a rebate of $1,000 per ton of capacity.
Wait, per ton?
Yes. An average house might have a 3 or 4 ton system. That means $3,000 to $4,000 cash back.
That's incredible.
Even for a standard high-efficiency traditional HVAC system, you can get up to $1,500 back per unit, maxing out at $3,000 per home. But the catch is, these programs require paperwork, and you have to ask your technician about them before you sign the contract.
You definitely have to do the research up front. And if you happen to be in the Kingfisher, Oklahoma area, you can actually reach out to the source of these notes directly to ask about those local rebates. You can reach them at 405-375-4822 or check out hartzellsheetair.com. But, the broader takeaway here, no matter where you live, is all about the urgency of the calendar.
It all comes down to leverage. Right now in the spring, you have all the leverage.
Right.
Catching a clogged drain line or replacing a filthy filter today costs you practically nothing. But if you ignore these systems and wait until the middle of July when it is 100 degrees outside and your compressor completely burns out,
Then what?
your leverage drops to zero. You will pay peak emergency pricing, and you will likely be waiting days for a technician to even arrive, simply because every other homeowner who ignored these warnings is calling them at the exact same time.
It's the ultimate stitch and time saves 9 scenario. So let's recap our deep dive and give you your marching orders. Take 10 minutes today, shine a flashlight into that drain pan under the indoor unit, and look for standing water. Pull your air filter out, hold it up to a light bulb to make sure it can breathe, and write today's date on the frame in Sharpie.
Crucial step.
Yep. Walk through the house and make sure every single vent is open and free of black dust. Clear the chemical bottles away from your indoor closet and chop the weeds back 2 feet from the outdoor unit. And finally, buy a cheap hygrometer and verify you are sitting in that safe 40 to 55% humidity range.
You hold the absolute power to prevent your own summer misery. But, reading about an air filter does not clean the air. Physically changing the filter does. Take control of your home's environment right now while it is still easy and cheap to do so.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, though, how much of our daily physical health, our midday energy levels, and even our overall moods are being secretly dictated by the invisible currents of air moving through the dark, forgotten spaces of our own homes.
Man, that is a brilliant way to frame it. It completely changes how you look at the 4 walls around you. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take those 10 minutes today, because remember, your house might feel cool right now, but is the air actually clean? Go find out. We'll catch you next time.